Today there is interesting news from the Russian Federation. Here, for the first time since the start of the full-scale invasion, Ukraine is hitting the Russian rear harder than Russia is hitting Ukraine. Outpacing the Russian war machine, near-constant waves of Ukrainian drone strikes trigger all alarms across Russia and shatter the illusion of superiority, with analysts warning that this may just be the beginning. Ukraine crossed a critical turning point in March, launching more cross-border drone attacks into Russia than Russia into Ukraine. This is not just a symbolic victory marking a reversal in the war of attrition, but also the biggest strategic development, as Ukrainian strikes are systematically targeting Russia's oil and gas infrastructure, military-industrial base, and high-level logistics depots at an unprecedented scale. After the recent release of data, it can be seen that in just 1 week, Russia launched over 2,800 drones against Ukraine, while Kyiv responded with 2,300 drones of its own. However, this data only counts Ukrainian strikes on key oil export infrastructure in the northwest, with many more drones hitting Russian facilities in the south, east, and central regions as well. Notably, one single wave against the Primorsk and Ust-Luga ports on March 30th saw around 200 drones launched simultaneously, flying coordinated routes to overwhelm defenses and ensure the strike's success. The scale of this shift becomes even clearer when looking at the broader statistics, as Russia claimed it intercepted 7,347 Ukrainian drones in March, at an average of 237 per day, the highest figure ever recorded. At the same time, Ukraine reported facing 6,462 Russian drones and 138 missiles throughout the month, intercepting around 90% of drones and nearly 3/4 of missiles. While Russia still maintains high strike volumes, the balance is no longer one-sided, as Ukraine is now matching and exceeding Russia's ability to project force deep behind the front line. This evolution reflects years of investment finally reaching maturity, as Ukraine expands not only long-range strikes but also mid-range operations targeting logistics hubs, command posts, and air defenses within 20 to 300 kilometers behind the front. Inside Russia, this shift has triggered a visible alarm, as military analysts are increasingly vocal, pointing not just to Ukraine's growing capabilities, but to fundamental organizational differences. They highlight Ukraine's rapid transition toward a decentralized, innovation-driven model of military development. Under new leadership, Ukrainian units, manufacturers, and even frontline formations can now independently upgrade systems by integrating new navigation tools, sensors, and communications within weeks rather than years. The full cycle from concept to battlefield deployment has been reduced to staggering 30 days in some cases. In contrast, Russian analysts openly criticize their own system as paralyzed by bureaucracy, where every improvement must pass through layers of approvals, testing, and risk-averse oversight, making innovations practically impossible to implement or delaying them beyond the point of making any difference. Russian analysts argue that this rigidity is crippling Russia's ability to adapt, as even relatively simple ideas, such as modifying existing aircraft or integrating new weapons, are delayed by endless procedures. Meanwhile, Ukraine is experimenting, iterating, and deploying at speed, with Russians warning that this gap will only widen, with Ukraine continuing to introduce new solutions faster than Russia can respond. Behind this transformation stands Ukraine's rapidly evolving defense industrial base. In 2025 alone, Ukraine allocated over $95 billion to security and defense, an extraordinary 43% of its GDP, ensuring sustained investment in domestic production. Today, Ukraine is producing more than 200 long-range strike drones per day, many of them significantly cheaper than their Russian counterparts. At the same time, Kyiv is expanding internationally, launching joint production projects across Europe, with new facilities in countries like Germany and France set to boost output even further. Partnerships involving major companies and defense firms are scaling production to hundreds of units per month. This combination of domestic innovation and international cooperation has turned Ukraine into a global leader in drone warfare. Crucially, Ukraine now covers more than half of its military needs through domestic production, reducing dependence on external supplies and increasing strategic autonomy. Overall, what is unfolding in Ukraine is nothing short of a radical transformation from a struggling post-Soviet defense sector into a dynamic, private-driven powerhouse capable of outpacing a larger adversary. The loss of drone superiority is not just a tactical setback for Russia, but a warning sign of deeper systemic problems. As Ukrainian strikes intensify and innovation accelerates, Moscow finds itself reacting rather than dictating the pace of the war. For the first time, the balance in the skies is shifting, and all alarms inside Russia are going off, as the Russians have all the reasons to worry. If you would like to explore other key developments today that we couldn't cover in this video, make sure to visit our interactive news map. The link to our interactive map is in the description below. Thank you for watching this update, and a special thanks to everyone already following our interactive map.